one thing that you hear when you start lecturing people about credit cards, as I'll confess I have, is, well, you have to have a credit card because you have to build a credit rating. If you don't have a credit card, you don't get a credit rating, and for some reason you need a credit card rating. I'm sure you've heard this.
No, never. Of course. Yeah. Fair Isaac designed the FICO score. The FICO score, there's a mathematical algorithm by which your FICO score, your credit score, is derived. 100% of the inputs to build your credit score have to do with debt. The type of debt, your ratio of debt, whether or not you're paying your debt on time, which is what we all think of when we think of a credit score. It's 100% interaction with debt. Your FICO score has nothing to do with your financial well-being. Nothing. It has nothing to do with your net worth. So you could inherit $1 million tomorrow from your rich uncle that died, and your credit score doesn't change 1 point. Your boss can walk in and say, I'm going to give you $1 million a year raise on your income. Your FICO does not change 1 point. It has 100% to do with borrowing money. And so the whole premise of the thing is almost humorous when you look at it. So I need a FICO score. So I'm going to go get a credit card, take out a car loan. I'm 18 years old, so I can build up my FICO score. Why do I need a FICO score? Because that's the score they use to decide to loan me money. So I need a FICO score so that I can get into debt. So I'm going to get into debt so that I can get a FICO score so that I can get into debt, so that I can raise my FICO score so that I can get into debt, so that I can raise my FICO score so that I can get into debt, so that I can keep my FICO score up by paying my debt and getting into more debt. Because if you quit paying on all your accounts, they take them all to zero, you pay them all off, and you close 100% of your accounts, within 6 to 9 months, your FICO score will be zero. So I've not had a FICO score in 38 years. Mine's indeterminable, which means I'm probably not even real. Probably not.
You're a specter, a ghost.
I mean, you would think. And I own several $100 million worth of real estate, So here's what's asinine about this whole thing. I can go down to the local apartment complex in our little town of Franklin, Tennessee, that's managed by a 26-year-old who has a boss in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Who's telling them how to lease an apartment. And they won't lease an apartment to me because I don't have a FICO score. Now I can write a check and buy the apartment complex, but I can't rent an apartment there. See, that shows you how inept this measure of wealth is, or of financial well-being. And it is a dog chasing its tail. Why am I going into debt? So I can get a FICO score. Why?
Well, so you're looking at it, because I think you're a more decent person than I am, as silly and not an accurate measurement. I'm looking at it as a very sinister system intentionally created to enslave people with debt. That's what it looks like to me.
It is. No, you're right. It's just the ridiculous logic that we, the people, have fallen for that allowed them to do that.
Well, so here's a potentially non-ridiculous concern that I have heard as I've been lecturing some people who may or may not be my children on this question, because I hate credit cards. But they say, well, if I don't have a good credit rating, I won't be able to take a home loan out to buy a house. And I'm not really sure how you get to a place where you can buy a house in cash at 30.
Well, it has been done, and we've got lots of stories where it has been done. But aside from that, again, just bad information. The truth is you can get a home mortgage with a zero credit score. George Campbell, one of our Ramsey personalities, he and his wife bought a very, very nice home not long ago and got a small mortgage on it. They paid it off in about 9 months. Good for them. But he went and got a mortgage with a zero credit score. It's called manual underwriting. So when I got my real estate license in 1978, if you sold a house, in those days, there was no FICO score. If you sold a house in those days, you went to the mortgage company or the savings and loan that was still open in those days, and you took the client over there, and the client filled out several pieces of paper, a VOD. They gave permission for the bank to verify the deposits, verification of deposit. Do you have money in your bank for a down payment? You had to prove it. A VOE, verification of employment. They sent it to your employer. Employer sent it back, said you have a job, you make this much money. So you have your down payment, you make this much money. A verification of payments. So you send that to the landlord. And the landlord where they were renting would say, yes, Joe pays his rent. So now Joe can get. And so it was called underwriting a mortgage. They actually looked at the human beings and said, are these human beings, is it good for them to have a mortgage, and are they going to be able to pay it? And they did math and research on the people, and it took about 45 days to get a mortgage in those days. It took a while because this was all snail mail, back and forth. But that's called underwriting a mortgage. Nowadays, you can do manual underwriting much faster than that, but all they're doing is checking the person, all these different elements of the personhood, and see if the person is going to be able to pay their stinking mortgage. It's that simple. So that's how George and many, 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 many other Ramsey followers over the years, tens of thousands of them, have gotten a mortgage with a 0 credit score.
So you just go to the bank and say, I'd like to take a loan.
Well, you have to go to a mortgage lender that actually knows how to do a manual underwriting, because a lot of them don't. And again, too many of them are lazy.
Are the rates different?
Nope. Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Oh.
And exactly the same down payment requirement, exactly the same everything. It's just more work for the mortgage company, because basically the FICO score is a monkey can make this loan. They can look at the number and identify, big number, loan done, just like that, check, it's over. That's the whole thing. And that's how you get a housing crisis in 2008. Is they were approving these loans based exclusively on FICO, not actually looking at the human beings. And in some cases, they were fraudulently putting up FICO and fraudulently putting values on it and so forth. But we get a housing loan.
Wait. So you can game your credit score, the FICO score?
No, I'm saying those people were putting down false credit scores in that case. Or they're walking in, I've got a high credit score, but nobody mentions I just lost my job. Nobody mentions I bought 5 houses 4 weeks ago that are not yet showing up in all of this data, right? And because they're just handing this money out like it's candy if you've got the number. It's all about the number. Have you got the number? No, you don't. A monkey can run this business.
Good monkey sounds.
Yeah, these are good, yeah.
So very good. Have you spent time around monkeys, obviously?
Yeah, you and I are having way too much fun last night. I'm just saying.
So here's the other. So that's fascinating. I didn't know that. Thank you. The second concern would be that if you're not carrying debt on your house, you're penalized by the tax code because you can write off the interest on your loan.
Yeah.
And so when I went to pay off my mortgage, which was the very first thing I did when I made any money at all, I was criticized strongly by a friend of mine who's knowledgeable on financial matters, who's gotten way richer than I'll ever be. And he said, that's idiotic. Why would you do that? You've got a low rate and the government is paying you to have that mortgage.
Not true. It's true for such a small percentage of the population. So here's the thing. The only person who can write off the interest on their home mortgage is someone who itemizes their deductions, particularly under Trump. And they're still in place. Biden has not undone them. The standard deduction on a 1040 is so stinking high now that 92% of Americans do not itemize. Your charitable deductions are not of zero value if you don't itemize. Your interest deductions are of zero value on your tax return if you do not itemize. And so only 8% of Americans does this apply to, okay? Which could be you. You could, you've got a complicated businesses. You probably are itemizing. You're probably not doing a standard 1040 easy because you've got deductions in excess of the standard deductions, which would make you want to do the itemization. Me too, by the way. And so now let's go to that case for the 8%. We got rid of 92%, but let's go ahead and go with the 8. So let's say that you pay, I'll make up a number, $10,000 in interest in a year. You give $10,000 to the bank in interest. If you are in a 30% tax bracket, you take a $10,000 tax deduction. That means you don't pay taxes on $10,000 of your income. Follow me?
Yes.
So if you didn't have that deduction, you'd have to pay taxes on $10,000 more. So taxes on $10,000 would be $3,200 if you're in a 32% tax bracket. right? So what your friend is suggesting is that it's a good idea to send the bank $10,000 to keep from sending the government $3,200. Once again,
does make sense.
Cultural mythology.
So there is no downside, in your view, to paying off your mortgage?
No, none whatsoever. And here's the thing. It feels different.
Well, that's why I did it anyway.
You walk through your backyard with no shoes on, the grass is different, man. I mean, we have a Fauci pandemic. They're not taking my house.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It's a whole different thing. It's a liberty issue. It's a freedom issue. It's a math issue. It's a spiritual issue. The borrower is slave to the lender. It's tough to serve two masters, Jesus said. I don't have two masters. I don't know anybody. It's a completely different setting. The number of times my wife and I have a discussion about a house payment is precisely zero because we haven't had one in 30 plus years. I mean, this is nuts.
Well, I agree with that 100%. It's just so countercultural.
It is.
I remember reading...
But the culture's broke. Let's keep this in mind.
Well, and also the people who are profiting from this are absolutely in charge. I've always thought of you as the least controversial, most mainstream, wholesome person ever. And I remember reading a piece on the Daily Beast just attacking you. And I was like, why attack Dave Ramsey? He's not even explicitly political or not. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I get it. I don't get it quite as hot as you get it, but I get it.
But it's interesting. And that's clearly at the behest of people who are profiting from this system of financial enslavement. They're mad.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just if you put a message out there that makes someone feel like what they're doing is dumb, it's convicting, and that makes that person rise up and come after us. It's not even like Visa wrote them a check or something to come after Dave. It's just like Dave said that your whole life that you're living and believe is stupid, and instead of actually looking at that, they get pissed off.
How big is what percentage of our economy is money lending?
I'm not sure,
but huge.
I'm not sure. It's easily 1/5.
Yeah,
energy, healthcare,
real estate,
money lending. I mean, it's got to be there. That's the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Tech.
Yep.
But I mean, there's about 6 buckets that probably make up the vast majority of our economy.